999 Big 550 KTS. Before we head out for the weekend, we've got one more piece of work to do, and that is the board meeting. And this is this the first one of the year? No, the second one of the year. Second one of the year. This is also being aired on Channel 11.2. KPLR and KTRS has teamed up to air this last hour, this 9 o'clock hour, on 11.2. That's Channel 187 on your Charter communication system, or you can get it over the air. You can also get it at stltoday.com, ktrs.com. You can listen to us on our app or the old-fashioned way on the Big 550 KTRS. The board meeting is in session. Jane Duker, attorney and political consultant, local Gadfly. Good morning, Jane Duker.
Good morning.
Editor of the Riverfront Times, Chad Garrison. Chad, good morning.
Good morning.
John Deal out, so his first chair, if you will be Missouri GOP Chairman Ed Martin. Ed, good morning.
Good morning, McGraw.
So I'll throw it out, and let's discuss the fact that the Department of Justice leaked to the New York Times that it looks like Eric Holder and the Justice Department will not bring any charges against Officer Darren Wilson with this Michael Brown shooting. Jane, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it sort of is a pattern that we've seen with the feds. It seems that the New York Times know more about what's going on in Ferguson than, any local outlet or any local officials. So, I mean, that to me is disturbing. Why leak? Why not just make the decision and move on? And I think people have been calling on it, and I think bipartisan have been saying, can you please finish this, get the cloud up so people can start moving forward. So I this happened on the night of the verdict. It leaked, nationally before it was leaked to the media here, and the media here refused until they actually got real word.
There's one thing about the leak. I get that. But it's another thing, Ed Martin, to say that Officer Darren Wilson has been poked and prodded, and from every angle, from every source, and he did nothing wrong. Well, you can't charge him with anything.
First of all, back to the quick comment. I think leaking, as you say, there's a fine tradition in leaking. We go back in history. This always goes on.
Right.
The question is, in these high-profile cases, would better judgment be to just pull the Band-Aid off and tell the story?
Right,
I think we saw, if we go back and look at the leadership after Ferguson, we kept saying, okay, we know you have to do your job, but are we letting this thing languish and making people wonder and giving people a lack of confidence? Now, I would point to this. If Eric Holder or whoever is going to leak to the New York Times, that strikes me as somebody, maybe you meant this, Jane, that's playing an inside ball game, or a game that's different than what we need in our community. Is somebody to step up and say, Callahan, the U.S. attorney, is a really well-respected guy. I mean, he's a Democrat. He was elected as a Democrat, but well-respected and pretty straight shooter. Mm-hmm. And he's the kind of guy, I think, that would have held a press conference, said, this is what's going on. And we have a problem over and over, a lack of trust people feel in government. And I think that's the bigger problem with this. I would have preferred, look, I expected Darren Wilson. If they had tried to charge him under the civil rights statutes, I think it was a real uphill fight based on the facts pattern.
Right.
So that seems fine to me, understandable and good. But the way they did it, again, just makes no sense.
Chad Garrison.
I don't know if how much this was leaked. The New York Times has reporters who cover the Department of Justice, and the Post-Dispatch does not, or any of the local media. So, I don't know if they got it from just actual reporting or if it was leaked. I will say I was surprised that if it is in fact true that they're moving so quickly on this. Holder is going to be out, I think, by maybe end of February, perhaps.
I thought the spring.
And so, I'm impressed that they're actually, seem to be moving forward on this.
Trayvon Martin's 3 years in?
Well, but I think the reason why they move faster is because Senator Blunt made a stink about it. And some of these others were like, hey, wait a minute, trying to call him out, trying to flush him out, to say, don't let us languish like this.
Maybe.
Giuliani, there was an open letter from Giuliani saying, hey, get to this verdict. What are we waiting for?
Right, and Trayvon Martin's out there. I mean, there's still some other investigations.
Yeah, I don't think it's surprising that they're not that they are not pushing forward with civil rights violations against Wilson. I mean, that's a very difficult hurdle.
If it wasn't a leak, I thought it was a leak.
That's what I thought.
It was a unnamed source. So somebody told somebody
who
shouldn't have been.
At Justice.
That is correct.
But Justice has now not come out and said what the coverage so far has been is a source tells us us this is what's going to happen.
Right.
My point, again, back to this, Chad, is somebody ought to stand up and say, this is what we're doing. And I don't understand why Callahan's not allowed to. Callahan would be told what to do on this kind of thing. It's coming out of Main Justice. But somebody should say to the community, and that I agree with you. I suspect it was blunt. I actually think McCaskill, I think a lot of people said, look, we got a wide open wound here. Help us start moving past it and sitting around waiting. And I think that's good. But again, somebody come out and say the facts. It helps people understand if positions of authority say clearly, we looked at things, we made a judgment, we're not going to go forward, then I think that people can say, look, Wilson,
And we still have the pattern and practice investigation going on
right,
with
and
the
I think
Ferguson
that
Police Department, and that one is probably likely to be the thing that actually changes policy and actually, they come to... they're probably negotiating an agreement, or they come to terms and say, here are the changes you're going to make in this police department. And to me, that one is sort of the most productive on a going forward basis to say, okay, if there are changes that need to be made, let's make them, let's do it, let's get a court order, and let's move on.
All right.
Wait, one more slightly inflammatory point. Very short.
Please.
Shocking.
Eric Holder.
That's why you're here.
Eric Holder and the Justice Department proving again that they are not trustworthy to deliver anything that resembles justice, fairness, or do their job. It's an outrage.
Well,
that he's leaving is a wonderful thing. Good riddance, and we'll see if we get anything better out of the next.
All right, but so here's my exit question, if I can be Mr. McLuhan here. So, Eric Holder comes to town, says we're going to get justice for Michael Brown. Governor Nixon releases a statement, we want justice for Michael Brown. Now that it's all in, Ed Martin, or Chad Garrison, did Michael Brown get justice like Eric Holder said he would?
Well, if it provides broad-based solutions to policing in Ferguson, I would say so. I mean, if you want to blame somebody and if you want punitive, damage against somebody, no. But if you want solutions to kind of what Michael Brown stands for,
those two people you mentioned, Jay Nixon and Eric Holder, they both bloviated with no real facts or understanding and said they're going to do all sorts of things that they never did. So
in my view,
no, when he comes and says, I'm going to deliver justice because I know what it feels like, I'm a black man too. Holder made a fool of himself in his office. And now he's shown that he really didn't know what he was talking about. And so he's been proven. When he went out on a limb, they chopped the limb off, and now he's going to go off to make millions of dollars on whatever corporate boards and law firms.
Go ahead, Jane.
Well, no, in my mind, justice, I would like us as Americans to get back to the term that justice doesn't mean an exact result that you want. Justice means that we do the best we can to come to the right answer in the circumstances.
I would think everyone in this panel would agree, but that's not what the Attorney General said when he came to town.
Well,
he said, I want justice for Michael Brown, so he was the one pouring gasoline on the fire.
And he put his thumb on the scale, and everybody looked up that knows the law and said, why is the Attorney General? John Ashcroft never did that kind of thing. He never flew into Florida and said on Terry Schiavo or whatever case, I'm going to get justice for the family of whoever on a hot issue. So we have a hot issue on race. We have a president who's proven that what he prefers to do is demagogue and destroy.
Actually, that's baloney, because I
point
believe...
to where he hasn't.
No, Obama came out...
Our military, our churches...
No. Let me finish, little man.
All right. Let her finish.
This is the deal. I mean, Obama, I think, much more than Holder, came out and said, look, we need to be measured here. I don't think the president ever came out and fanned the fire. I think some people wished he would have come here. I think some people wanted more from him. But he came out and said, look, and I think he was clear in the State of the Union. We have to be on the side of both sides.
But Eric Holder.
I agree. Holder's different. But you cannot throw the president in there.
And you and I both know no attorney general goes out and does things without the president and his team knowing, especially this president. So Holder didn't go, I'm going to go there and I'm going to say this kind of stuff. You don't mind, do I? Obama wanted that. It's his team. You don't get to separate yourself from the team.
That's Ed Martin. That's Jane Duker. Chad Garrison and I are sitting here laughing at them. So that's what we're doing on this side of the panel. American Eagle Credit